Hey there, welcome to the Movie Review Mom YouTube channel. I'm the mom and I do the movie reviews. And my goal is to save you time and money by giving you the inside scoop on filmmaking quality and content. So you can decide whether or not you want to spend time or money or both sometimes watching a particular film. So today, the movie I'm reviewing is called Harold and the Purple Crayon. This family friendly hybrid animation is now playing in theaters. And when I say hybrid, I mean live action and some visual effects and some animation. So the film is rated PG. It's an hour and 21 minutes long. And my overall movie review mom grade is probably about a B somewhere in there. So first I'm going to give you an overview in a nutshell, then I'll point out things I liked, things I didn't like, tips for parents, themes worth talking about, funny lines, interesting lines, and we'll finish up with recommendations for other films that are sort of similar that you might also really like, especially if you like this one. But first, let me introduce today's featured product, and this should be no surprise to anybody. It is the book Harold and the Purple Crayon, the one that we all probably grew up reading either as kids or to our kids. So you can see the Amazon link by clicking in the description below. And if you well, I can't rent it. If you buy the book, then Amazon will send me just a few little pretty pennies to thank me for telling you about the product. You may not have even known it was a book. So there you go. It's definitely one that every childhood home should have. All right, so on to the movie. In a nutshell, this is the very first movie adaptation of that very popular children's book where Harold draws anything from his imagination with a purple crayon to have adventures with his friends Moose and Porcupine. Now, when he grows up in this movie, he enters the real world and realizes he has a lot to learn about life and the power of imagination. So the film was directed by Carlos Saldana, and writing credits go to David Guion and Michael Handelman. Now, for some reason, many critics are giving very low scores for this movie. However, families are loving it. So let me give you some quick tips for parents because ultimately, I think this is a family-friendly movie, but it is mostly going to be younger kids, I think, that enjoy it. There's no profanity. Yay, thank you. It's so hard to find movies like that nowadays. And there are bullies who are portrayed as both adult bullies and kid bullies. People evade the police on purpose and escape from a jail. There's lots of destruction. And when you watch this with your kids, be sure and point out the themes and the lessons that are learned in the story with your kids. And some of the movie quotes that I'll share here in just a minute emphasize those movie quotes. So, speaking about the themes, the ones that are illustrated very well in the film are imagination, innocence, believing in yourself, power and control, friendship, and creating your life and your world. So, here's the list of things that I really liked about this film. First of all, I adore the talented Zachary Levi. He is perfect in this movie as a sweet man child that we will call Harold. Zoe Deschanel is also so talented, and it was really great seeing her in a feature film again. I think it's been a while since I can think of that I've seen her in a feature film. And I wish that cute actresses wouldn't mess with their beautiful faces. She looked really different in this film, and I kept trying to figure out what work she might have had done or what happened with the face. I don't know. Maybe it was just the makeup. It looked probably a little bit more like filler and Botox. And it's so distracting because when she was on screen, I was really analyzing her face. And she didn't need any of that. She's just beautiful and lovely and has been for years. Anyway, so enough of that. I instantly recognized Alfred Molina's classic voice as the narrator. So nice choice in casting him. Little Ray Howery has been showing up in all kinds of movies recently, especially family-friendly ones. So congrats to him. He always adds a fun touch and lots of energy. This is the fifth time using his voice talents in an animation. Now, obviously, I mentioned this is more of a hybrid film. So he is both a voice to a character, the moose specifically, and a live action person. Jermaine Clement makes a very amusing villain. He's not too scary, so young kids should be able to watch this movie without getting nightmares. He previously worked with the director as the voice of a cockatoo in the animation franchise called Rio. I don't know if you remember that, but that one was pretty cute. The young actor in this movie is Benjamin Botani, and I thought he did a fine job, especially for such a young actor. Now, in the film, some of the characters travel to the real Crockett Johnson house, which has really been turned into a museum in Rowayton, Connecticut. I'm probably not pronouncing that town correctly. I've never heard of it before. Let me know if you've been to that. Comment down below. He's the author of the book, the original child's book, Harold and the Purple Crayon. I thought that the drawing battle was really cute and entertaining and made for a fun, family-friendly finale. Say that 10 times fast. And then many of the scenes looked like cartoon sequences brought to life, but in a good way. I think it could definitely go the wrong way, but I thought it was cute. It felt like a children's movie. Now, with all of that praise, there were just a few things that I didn't like or thought could have been done differently or better. For example, how can you have a movie with talented singers like Zachary Levi and Zoe Deschanel and not have them sing together? It's such a missed opportunity. There's even a piano scene where she's playing the piano that could have easily been turned into a singing moment. And I just was so disappointed. I was fully expecting the moose and the porcupine to turn into live action animals, not humans in the real world. Of course, that makes the movie a little bit more difficult to film, but it would have just added kind of a fun element to it. Anyway, there's this spider fly, and the whole time I'm just like, ew, ick, yuck. There are several plot points that just don't make any sense. Now, I don't want this to be a movie filled with spoilers, so I'll just leave it at that. There are also some story threads that are just completely dropped, and I'll leave it at that. Again, I don't want this to be a spoiler filled review. And then one of the things that always bugs me is when film writers use cliches. And so it's a kids movie. So of course, one of the parents has died, right? That's a super cliched plot line or part of the story. Now, whenever I watch movies, I take notes and I write down the funny lines and interesting lines. I said that word weird, interesting lines. And you can see all of them on my written review at moviereviewmom.com, but I'll share some of them with you right now. So in terms of funny lines, I thought that this was kind of cute. So Zoe Deschanel meets these two guys, which is Harold and his friend Moose, but Moose is in human form. And they're just kind of odd and weird. And so she ends up putting him in her car with her son, who's like, oh, we should help them. And so she says, oh, I'm glad you guys are okay and not litigious, and which made me laugh as an adult. Of course, young kids won't even know what litigious means. So you can tell your kids if you watch this with them. And then Terry, again, is just kind of like, you guys are kind of weird. And she says, now she's taking them to her house and so they could spend the night there. And so she says, just don't get too excited, okay? Like it's a very simple, small house. And then Harold, with all of his wisdom, tells, his buddy, the moose, that's what people say when it's really exciting. Now, some people have criticized Zachary Levi for using this character and making him very childlike and innocent and always happy and grinning. And I thought that that was actually perfect because he is innocent. He doesn't live in the real world. And so everything is exciting to him. And then there's this criminal who watches them break out of jail. And I won't say what, I got to leave something as a surprise, right? So this criminal watches him and he goes, I got to get some crayons. And anyway, that line just made me laugh. I thought that was kind of cute. And then this last line that I'll share with you that I wrote down as a funny line is a character whose name is Gary, and he's played by Jermaine Clement. And he's talking to Harold and he says, friends are overrated. So I've been told, as to mean he doesn't have friends either, which I just thought was kind of funny. And he was a really interesting, amusing, kind of complex character. Now, with some of the interesting lines, here are some that I wrote. Harold said, meaning Zachary Levi's character, he said, with a crayon, anything's possible. And I love that the movie really highlights imagination, and kids are going to want to get their crayons out and color and draw stuff after they watch this movie. And that's a really good thing. Benjamin Botani is the son, and he's reminding his mom, remember when dad said, when people need help, we help. And because of that, she's like, yeah, he said that. And that's why they end up helping Harold and the moose, the guy, right? And then Terry, who's played by Zoe Deschanel, she used to sing, she used to play the piano, and her son's like, why don't you do this anymore? And she says the sad line, she says, when you're young, you have all kinds of dreams, and then the world kicks it out of you. And so part of the magic of this movie is the childlike wonder of Harold, played by Zachary Levi, and how as adults we lose that and are often trying to get it back, but we've got bills to pay, and we do feel like we've gotten our teeth kicked in or whatever body part, you know what I mean? And so it's really magical to watch that come back into the life of some of the parents, some of the adults, I should say, in this. Now, Terry, played by Zoe Deschanel, works at this supermarket and hates her job. And so, she tries to kiss her manager's rear end because she doesn't want it to be known that she hates her job. But Harold finds that out pretty quickly. Anyway, the manager comes and he says, dreams do come true, but you have to work for them, which is part of the real world. That is reality. And then finally, there are two lines that are spoken by the narrator, summarizing everything that Harold has learned and everything that the audience has learned. And I think these two lines really speak strongly about the theme and would be great fodder for conversation with your kids if you watch this with them. So the narrator says, we only have so much time in this world. We leave our mark in the lives we change. Now, that could be changing other people's lives, or it could even be changing our own life. And then another line that the narrator says that's so wise is he says, life isn't just something that happens to you. It's something you create. The trick is in the imagining. And I loved that. And I want children to shoot for the stars. Life is going to kick them for sure, just because that is life. But it's the longer we can keep them with that vibrant, vitalant, is that a word? Imagination, the better off the whole world's going to be. All right, let me share some movie review recommendations that I instantly thought of as I was watching this. The first one is a movie I just reviewed called If, but it's actually I period F period. It stands for Imaginary Friends, so IF. Anyway, it's lovely. It definitely sparks imagination and showcases how important it is. And of course, stars Ryan Reynolds. You can definitely see my review. In fact, I'll cue that one up right after you finish watching this, so you can watch that and decide if that's a movie that you want to see if you haven't watched it yet. And then another one that instantly came to my mind is called Where the Wild Things Are. Now, that also is a feature film based on a very popular children's book that's been around for decades, and also has to do with imagination. And then another one that I thought of that is a little bit different because it's a musical, but also based on a book that sparks imagination is Wonka, the newest Wonka. Have you seen that one? I really enjoyed that one, and you can watch that review of mine as well. Anyway, hopefully this review is helpful. And if it is, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, comment down below. You know the drill. And in fact, you can find all of those movies by clicking on the links in the description. Let's see, one of them is an Amazon link. And so if you rent it or purchase it, then Amazon will send me a few little pennies to thank me for telling you about those. But I think you really should watch those because those are all really good ones. Run over, visit me on social media. I'm everywhere as Trina Boice, but also as Movie Review Mom. Have a fantastic day, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye for now.